not necessarily reflect those of the host, KMIR TV, or its parent company, Entravision.
Hey, you live here, you know, yesterday the valley, blanketed by a debilitating sandstorm. Monday, a magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck western Colombia, causing massive damage. If a larger disaster happens, how prepared are you? Could you and your family last a week without help? Hey there are burglaries and there are crimes that change the way you feel inside your own home. Riverside County Sheriff's investigators have announced an arrest in Indio in a home invasion case. Okay, the arrest was announced. Here is the question. Do you actually feel safe at home anymore? The Riverside County Sheriff's Department announced the arrest Wednesday in connection with a home invasion investigation. The case involves an Indio suspect and was handled through the Sheriff's Department Eastern Riverside County Operations. Our contributors on the program tonight, former news anchor Jim Walker and realtor from Desert Sotheby's International, Nick Collins. Jim, how has crime changed what you do to secure your home?
You know, I feel very, very safe in Palm Springs. Chief Andy Mills has been a part of that the last few years. You know, I don't feel like there's a whole lot to worry about. Of course, we lock our doors, we check our alarm, but for the most part, I feel very safe.
Nick?
I love all the inexpensive camera options, security technology. It's right there at our fingertips. You pay a fraction of the price you used to. You can watch everything. You can be right on your home. I like it.
Cameras, alarms, gated communities. Nick, you make the point. Do they actually make us safer?
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to get into my details, but I had an incident where I was able to send a video to the sheriffs, and the sheriff wasn't able to solve the problem. The neighborhood, I sent it to a local network, and they pinpointed the person who did it. We had them arrested. I think it's great. Jim?
Well, I think alarms can be helpful, but in terms of like gated communities, I can tell you back when I was a reporter, there wasn't a gated community I couldn't get into. We went into many of the areas where some of the Cowboys players that got arrested, we do stakeouts. I never had a problem getting in. So I think that part's a false sense of security, but deterrents are always good, always good.
I'll tell you, many years ago, many years ago, my home was broken into, all right? I came home, I was working at NBC in LA, I just started. I come in and everything is tossed all over the place and it's been ransacked. They never caught the people. Police came out, looked at everything. You know what the problem was? First, I was very concerned. I didn't feel safe after that had happened. But then it's just such an invasion. It's an invasion, you know.
You don't feel safe after that.
You don't feel safe after that.
Yeah.
Do you think technology has made us safer, or do you simply believe it has allowed us now to watch crimes happen, Jim?
I think there's always been a lot of crime. Yes, crime has increased. No one disputes that. But I also think because of these flock cameras and security cameras and ring cameras, we're seeing a lot more of that stuff than we used to. And, you know, I think that's only going to increase as we see the increase in technology.
All right, back to school already gives parents enough to think about. Now, changes to the federal childhood vaccine schedule are creating another question. Here it is. Who should ultimately decide what vaccines your child gets? Doctors, government, or parents? The president has signed an executive order calling for the changes to the federal childhood vaccine schedule. Local families are now trying to understand what those changes mean as Coachella Valley students return to classrooms. Nick, who should have the final say over childhood vaccines?
It's a collaborated effort. Right now, I have to just kind of bow down to what California has to say. We don't have any really alternate to what we want to do, but I say there's some great vaccines, and then there's some ones that they just added to the whole schedule. They don't need to be involved, and I think what the president's doing is absolutely correct. Jim?
Well, the libertarian in me says parents ought to decide. The democratic socialist in me says schools should have to decide. I mean, it's a tough issue, but I think at the end of the day, you know, it's your decision if your child is going to be vaccinated. You know, the parents that choose otherwise and their kid gets sick, I think that's on them. But in a school environment, I think that's a very tough subject to discuss.
All right, that being said, should schools be able to require them, Jim?
It's like I'm probably going to err on the side of going to say that parents have the final say. But part of me certainly wants to make sure, or part of me wants to say, if you're in a public school, your kid should get the shots.
Hey, Jim, has vaccine policy become so political now that parents no longer know who to trust or what to trust?
I think a lot of parents are too political in that, and they're listening to, the advice of some talk show host rather than their doctor. I think at the end of the day, you should be deferring to your own good sense, your research, your study, and what your doctor says.
Let me ask you a quick question here. You got a spare 14 mil lying around? Because I've got a deal for you. Palm Valley School shut down a few months ago, but now you can buy the former educational institution for a cool $14 million. The property comes with roughly 89,000 square feet of buildings, a gym, performance spaces, baseball and softball fields, plus football, soccer, and lacrosse space. 16 buildings, 155 parking spaces. You could have quite the party. There is room to add more, and the kicker, this is a court-supervised sale, so the whole deal still has to get the judge's blessing. In other words, bring your checkbook, your business plan, and maybe a good lawyer. So what time did you get the alarm yesterday? I'm trying to think. On your phone. Was it like, 5:30? 6:15, right in there? Phones in the valley started buzzing yesterday with weather warnings. Palm Springs Fire is now offering residents emergency response training, but forget the class for a moment. If a major earthquake, flood, or wildfire hit tonight, would you have any idea what to do? The classes begin in October. Residents can learn basic disaster response skills at a time when weather, earthquakes, wildfires, and extreme heat remain constant threats in the desert. But if something happened now, how prepared are you? Nick, first time I was driving through a haboob, I was completely freaked out. I pulled over. I thought, I've never seen anything like it, seriously, and I was on the 10 freeway. Do you worry about what other people will do while you're pulling over?
The haboob is like a Wisconsin snowstorm where the hail's coming sideways. If you've never been there, you've never seen it, you don't know what to do. I'll say this, the haboob is real. It's annual. We have them multiple times throughout the year. You got to be ready for it. And I think that emergency alert is a smart move to say, you haven't seen sand like this. Be prepared, pull over. Jim?
Yeah, I compare this to growing up in the Central Valley where we had the super, super dense morning fog. Sometimes it doesn't burn off till 11, but you're in the same situation when you pull over to the side of the road. I mean, even if you have your flashers on, someone could hit you. I mean, Fred's exactly right with that.
All right, if something happened, if we had a disaster of some type here in the valley, Jim, could your household survive 3 days without power or outside help?
Well, heck no, we barely go a day without having to go get groceries. But the answer is we should be prepared. Everyone should be prepared because, as they say, it's not a question of when or a question of if. It's when it's going to happen because we know that a major earthquake is coming.
Nick, could you survive?
Yeah, I'm a survivor. I'll do it hands down, no problem. What I like is when the alert comes in, I'm thinking of my parents, my in-laws, those people that might need my help. Now I know I could be there for them.
How about emergency preparedness as part of basic school education, Nick?
Yeah, the school's got to be prepared. Some of these kids are very smart, and if they had the training, they're gonna apply it immediately. They might save a life with what they're doing right now with all the alerts.
All right,
I love it.
Last night, the Coachella City Council listened to its residents and unanimously approved the first reading of a permanent citywide ban on data centers and related uses. Okay, is that really a good thing? As we sit here right now, absolutely get it. Data centers, as they can stand, can be awful for a community. It's the word permanent I want to talk about because a permanent ban sounds wonderfully simple until you realize data centers are becoming a major piece of the economy and technology infrastructure. So the real debate isn't necessarily data centers good or bad. It's more interesting. Do you permanently slam the door or keep that door open and make developers meet a very high bar before they get through it. For a Coachella Valley community, I'd argue the second option gives residents more leverage than a permanent ban. Nick, as technology grows, these centers are going to become more efficient. Do you feel the permanent ban of anything is good for a city's future?
No, Fred, and this is something where I've changed over the course of only a couple of months. I've listened to all the tech guys, all the people out there talking about what's coming. These data centers are going to be here. We don't want to interfere with our life and the environment, but what I'm saying is they are coming and we have to be okay with it at a certain point. I had a colleague that wasn't a forum, but that's her point. I'm saying I'm on the other side of the fence. Jim, I don't know how you feel, but it's coming. We can't stop it. We can't ban it.
Well, the word permanent is a big question. They say nothing is certain in life except death and taxes. So a permanent ban is not necessarily permanent. A future council could revisit this. And data centers right now politically are about as popular as a leaf blower at 7 a.m. No one wants that going on. But as you said, the technology is improving. When the technology does improve, that things change for communities, they could revisit this.
Yeah, see, when I started in TV, we didn't even have videotape. We shot film. Then the first videotape cameras were called TK-76s, and they were about this big. They were huge. Now we shoot on our phone. And I wondered when I heard the word permanent if, wait a minute, in 5 years, if those centers are very different than they are today, and they're not going to affect people as they are today, and will provide jobs and tax revenue, why would you say no 5 years from now? That's why the word permanent bothered me, Nick.
Yeah. And you know what? Think about what Elon Musk just spent, $17 million on the Terrafab in Texas. They know that you have to start positioning yourself for the future, and these data centers are part of the future.
Got to be honest. Nothing is ever permanent. Nothing. Except being a good neighbor. Treasure in Indio is looking to join a Bible study group, needs some spiritual support, and the group can meet anywhere in the valley. Tina Palm Desert wants to get on that GLP-1 journey. Her insurance doesn't cover it. Looking for a good local provider. Anthony La Quinta needs some quotes from car mechanics. 2016 Lexus needs all 4 struts replaced. Sarah Bermuda Dunes is hoping to find somebody who might donate a bike or TV to her. She has some time off and is looking for a way to get around town and some entertainment.
We never hear from anyone in Coachella or Desert Hot Springs.
Once in a while, say hi.
As a matter of fact, everybody tell us what you think.
Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Roggin or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
Tell you, we couldn't make this up if we tried. So sometimes we get the timing exactly right. Tuesday, we talked about hikers needing to be rescued off the trails that they willingly hike in extreme heat. All right, now maybe this is insensitive, but consider this. Should hikers that ignore heat warnings and require a rescue, should they be charged for their rescues, Aaron?
I'm going to say that's not a bad idea. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, if they're going out there and wasting public dollars because someone has to come rescue them because they were stupid, yeah, let's fine them. Stephanie?
Okay, so on an annoying level, I will agree with that, but on a human level, I'm going to disagree because we don't want somebody who can't pay for a helicopter to die on a trail because they made a stupid choice. We hope that they're going to do better, but I don't think charging them is really the answer.
Now, yesterday, another hiker, another desert rescue. This time, someone became dehydrated more than a mile up Cactus to Clouds and had to be hoisted out.
Does not compute.
At some point, do we stop asking rescuers to repeatedly risk themselves because someone ignored the desert heat? Cactus to Clouds gains roughly 10,000 feet in elevation and can become extremely dangerous during the summer heat. This person chose to attempt that in 104-degree heat, and then our taxpayer money went to rescue them. Isn't this the same as saying, put your hand in a running blender and expecting that to come out with a stump, Jim?
Yeah, not quite that severe. I would say that many times these are people who are not from the Coachella Valley. They're not accustomed or familiar with the heat. They overestimate their abilities and they underestimate the intensity of our conditions. Nick?
I think we got to send the helicopter out. We're making a hero of the person saving whoever's doing that. And that person wants to be out there. We have the services. Let's do it. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. But it's dangerous. I mean, it's dangerous. And both of these hikers were fortunate that they were rescued. Do you think there's...
Fred, your life is dangerous, Fred. What you do, I mean, you could be killed at any moment. You're pushing people to the brink. These guys are doing it in other situations. I say, you know what? We got to send the helicopter out.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like if they do it more than once and they're a repeat offender and they have to be rescued more than once, then yes, they should be charged for it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, should you put warning signs up on these trails? Seriously, you know,
No,
at 100...
These people don't care. These people don't care. They're going out there. They think they're Mr. Procter and Gamble or whoever's going out there trying to find a new area. And I will tell you this, they're going to do it anyway. We have to go save them because we're beautiful human beings in the Coachella Valley.
No, of course we have to save them. We can't just let them perish there or melt. But again, I don't get it. It's 105 degrees. This is unsafe. It is unhealthful. I just think...
Sure, going hiking in the middle of a summer day, that's insane. But you can go hiking at sunrise. It's a reasonable temperature, but you got to pack your water and you got to pack some common sense, obviously.
All right. This is not the news anybody hoped for.